So it even scoops like actual ice cream. Whoa. That's bloody good. And now I'm back with another video. So today I'll be making coffee flavored ice cream, but this time I'll be doing something very different. I'm going to add Kahlua to my ice cream, so it's going to have a very nice boozy kick. If you're to make this recipe, you can actually swap the Kahlua with Baileys. The reason why I added alcohol in this one, it's because one, I want to try something different with my recipe, and number two, this is actually a very special project because my dad's birthday is coming up at the end of this month. So for this recipe, you will only need 4 ingredients. We have our whipping cream. Now the box says 1 liter, but we're going to use half of it, which is around 500 milliliters. And then next, I use 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. I'm going to use the classic vanilla flavor, but if you want to make a mocha flavor, you can switch it with chocolate flavored one. And then next, I have my coffee flavoring. I used around 4 tablespoons of instant coffee and around 6 tablespoons of hot water. And then last, this is optional, I have 100 milliliters of Kahlua. You can actually switch it with Baileys if you want to add a little bit more flavor and if you want to add a bit of a boozy kick to your coffee. Okay, so the first step that you need to do is pour your cream into a large bowl. I personally recommend chilling your bowl overnight in the fridge to make the cream a lot easier to whip. And here I used a metal bowl because it chills a lot faster than your standard mixing bowl. And the next step that we are going to do is we are going to beat this cream with my mixer. All right, so we are going to beat this cream with my mixer on high speed. Next step, we have our sweetened condensed milk. Here I'm just going to use 1 can, but if I were to double the recipe, I would need 2 cans of it. But also, if I was making chocolate ice cream, I would usually go for the chocolate flavored sweetened condensed milk. All right, so here's our sweetened condensed milk. In we go. Don't forget to scrape the can, otherwise you would miss out on that sweet condensed milk. Remember, this sweetened condensed milk is your golden ticket to a very luscious ice cream. All right, sweetened condensed milk is now in. Next, we are going to mix this again with my mixer, but I'm gonna go with medium speed this time. You don't need the high speed. So for my next step, I'm going to add my flavorings. If you want to make something classic like vanilla, you can add vanilla extract, but because we are going to make coffee flavored ice cream, I have my coffee flavoring. Here I have my instant coffee mixed with hot water. Don't forget to mix this one because otherwise you'll have the coffee sediments stuck at the bottom of your glass. So I'm just gonna give that a mix. And then we're just going to dump this into our ice cream mix. Now, if there's bits of the coffee bits, I would say, it's fine. It just adds more flavor for me personally. And I did put a lot of the coffee flavoring here because last time I made this, I want something that has like a more intense coffee flavor. So just gonna scoop that. For my final ingredient, this is optional. I have Kahlua, good old coffee liqueur. Now, if you do not have Kahlua, you can also use Baileys if you have it at home, but if you do not have it, that's totally fine. You can skip it. Now here I have my Kahlua. I've already measured this around 100 milliliters. And the reason why I can't use too much of it, I will explain it at the end of this video. So in goes my Kahlua. Remember to scrape every single bit of the Kahlua because otherwise you will not have a very good ice cream. I'm just gonna set this aside and we are now going to mix it again. So there's our finished ice cream mix. The next step is I will transfer the mix into my prepared containers and it should be ready for freezing. And with the snap of my fingers and some video editing magic, whoop, there it is. There's our ice cream mix ready to be put in the freezer, and we will freeze this for around a couple of hours. Normally, I would recommend freezing this at least overnight because alcohol affects the freezing point of your ice cream mix. So we will have to wait until tomorrow to see the final result.
The next day.
Here it is, the final ice cream. Let's give this a taste test and we'll see how we go compared to the very first time I made this recipe. Let's have a taste. Oh man, that's already scooping up like actual store-bought ice cream, but let's have a try. Oh man, that's insanely good. I really love the intense coffee flavor compared to my first version. But the next time if I were to make this, I'd definitely add in the dark chocolate shavings, I would say. Like last time I made it, I used shaved dark chocolate, but I can also use chocolate sprinkles next time. Otherwise, I'm liking the consistency. It is really just like store-bought ice cream. Look at that. So it even scoops like actual ice cream. Whoa. That's bloody good. If you ask what cream I used for my ice cream recipe, 2 words: whipping cream. No, seriously though, I use whipping cream because in Indonesia, if you go to the supermarket, there's 2 different kinds of cream if you look at the shelves. So the first one, you have whipping cream. This is the one that I use, and this is typically the one you would associate with frosting for cakes. And then you also have the other one, which is cooking cream. That one has a thinner consistency, and also it's usually the one that I would use if I want to make a cream soup or a cream sauce. So go for the whipping cream. And a little fun fact, when I was testing this recipe in Sydney, I used double cream, and funnily enough, they did not have that distinction between cooking cream versus whipping cream. Oh, by the way, for the lactose intolerant mates, I do recommend Paul's Zimmel lactose-free cream. It should look like this one right here. Here's where things get really technical. So with liqueur, as I've mentioned earlier, it does affect the freezing point for your ice cream mix. It typically depresses the freezing point for your mixture. So if you were to make ice cream with liqueur, like say for my recipe, I used Kahlua or sometimes Bailey's, the texture at the end, it will come out a little bit softer than your regular ice cream. So if you're new to using liqueur for your ice cream, just use like half of it. I used around 100 milliliters for my recipe, but if I were you, I'd probably cut it down to somewhere around 50 to 70 milliliters as a starting point. Because what's going to happen is, if you put too much of it, your ice cream is not going to freeze properly, and you will end up with a very intense alcoholic flavor, which we don't want any of that. Oh, by the way, a little fun fact. I did actually use another ingredient for my ice cream mix-in, but this was years ago when I was still in Sydney. And if I recall correctly, I did use M&M's once for a vanilla ice cream. I still haven't got the method right because what happened was some of the coloring from the M&M's just leaked through my ice cream and I ended up with a very unappetizing mess of colors in my ice cream. And I was like, oh man, how am I supposed to eat this? Oh my goodness, fun times. So note to self, I definitely recommend using chocolate, like shaved dark chocolate at the very least, if you want to add a chocolate to your ice cream. You can even use the chocolate sprinkles. In Indonesia, we call it mesas. It should look like this, in case you're wondering.